If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
Looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics, there's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
T. Madden & Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden & Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients.
Call T. Madden & Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
Stride K-12 powered schools are ready to put over 20 years of being a leader in online education to work for you. Dive into curriculum design for the online classroom. Team up with state-certified teachers trained in virtual instruction. Take control of your child's education journey. Discover the power of personalized learning with a leader experienced in preparing kids for a future they can be excited about. Take charge. Stride K-12. Enroll now for the fall.
Hello, welcome to a live Monday night edition of the BCSN Sports Wrap. I'm Bryan Fulford. That's AD Drew. We are blessed to be on to do another live show with you. Appreciate all those tuning in to watch us. Drew, how you doing tonight?
Wilma, I'm home.
Okay.
Been on the road for the last few days, and just happy to be back at the house, right? And to be doing this, to be in my studio instead of having to borrow somebody else's Wi-Fi or whatever we got to do to make sure this show happens.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, I understand. I've been on the road for a bit. I'm to the point where if I got a connection, I'm ready to do a show. I mean, that's kind of how this thing has been rolling for me. So,
I mean, I did a show literally driving on the road from Alabama back to back to Georgia, and yeah, been one of the few times that I've done doc show from my home studio, but doing the show that has my name in the title has not happened like it needs to.
Hey, anywhere and everywhere we can do the show, that's where we do it from. So,
and then next week we'll be doing the show on the road.
Yeah, next week I'm sure we'll be in Birmingham next week as we get ready for SWAC Media Day. But we've got all kinds of media days to talk about. We got to talk about the SIAC, which was this past week. And then this week, you have the CIAA and the MEAC media days, which are back-to-back days, if I'm not mistaken. So that'll be interesting to see how especially your favorite content creators or media folks who cover HBCU, to see how they juggle those 2 days, those 48 hours. That'll be real interesting. So
it's gonna be a lot of people making that 4-hour ride between Salem, Virginia, and Norfolk, Virginia, Thursday into Friday.
Yeah, definitely. Stay tuned. So gotta say hello to everybody coming in and joining us. First one, gotta say Jeremiah Clark checking in from a location where, yeah, I might need a map. Exactly. I hear you, Jeremiah.
Waze. Use that Waze app.
Waze. I love Waze. What's up, Tamara T?
How many tickets has Waze saved people?
Oh my God. Hundreds. Should be hundreds. I laugh. Anytime I see somebody get pulled over for speeding, I'm like, you need to get a Waze. Because it's got to be somebody who didn't have Waze. Chuck Hunt, good to see you, man. Thanks for checking in from Monroe, Louisiana. So on today's show, I just realized something, Drew. I didn't take care of my own Wi-Fi issues and connections. Doggone it! I knew there was something I forgot to do. So hopefully
we can do it during the first break.
Yeah. Hopefully I can make that. Yeah. So on today's show, well, first off, let me get the particulars out of the way while I can here. Make sure you're following the show at MyBCSN1. That's the Black College Sports Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Download the Jericho Broadcast Networks app. We are a part of the Jericho Broadcast Networks, which is the parent company of the Black College Sports Network. The Google app and the Apple iStore is where you can find that app. Just search MyJBN, MyBCSN. And if you want to go find our Facebook page in particular, just go to facebook.com/BCSN Sports Wrap, and that's where you will find us. Looking forward to kicking off really celebrating the 25th year of the Black College Sports Network. Hard to believe, 25 years of trying to do this thing and bring live sports coverage on these here internet waves, as they like to call them, Drew. So celebrating 25 years, and I think it's only appropriate that we'll get a chance to talk about the SIAC as coming up real shortly. We're going to be introducing a new, I guess we could say a new member of the team, as we will debut a new show that you and our guest will be doing this upcoming fall season. So we'll do that here shortly. And then coming up in the second hour, we're going to have a great conversation about the HBCU Basketball Association. And this is a league that has been putting out some good press over the past. I want to say I've been researching and doing and checking on articles that go back at least to about last summer when this concept first started hitting the media circuit. And so, coming up on the show, we're going to actually talk to the co-founders and a young man who is one of the players for one of the teams. So it is a league that is going to be starting up in August. So right around the corner, less than 3 weeks away from their debut. And we're looking forward to finding out more about this league. You know, it kind of goes in conjunction, Drew. I don't know how much of if you got a chance to watch this past Wednesday's ONG, where we had a young man who is the commissioner of the Pioneer League, Baseball League, and just some of the things that, you know, he's doing. But it's very interesting to see people that look like you and me operating in these spaces of league ownership and commissionership, and for professional organizations. You know, I find that real interesting, a real positive turn.
Definitely is a positive. You know, just the fact that you have African Americans running professional leagues, and then for there to be a professional league that is HBCU based, as far as the participants in that league, it's just a bonus, right? I mean, anytime our players go from the collegiate leagues to professional, it's always good. Always makes the alumni or whatever institution that you went to feel good about your program, you know. And you know, we like to brag about stuff like that. I've got this many people who went to my school who played in the NFL or MLB, or not too many of them played in the NBA as of recent, but even still, you know, I guarantee you people from Grambling still hold on to Willis Reed. So
yeah, and they should. You know, I wonder about the younger generation, though, whether the younger generation holds on to a Willis Reed or not. But you know, and it's so hard to really understand. I think it's hard to understand what drives young people, and I think there's this desire by some to want to appeal to, you know, younger generations when so many of your alumni are older, working professional people. You know what I'm saying? So it really is this dichotomy of, yes, you may have the several hundred thousand, no, the thousand or so students, you know, anywhere from 2,000 to 10,000, depending upon your school. But it's that alumni base that really drives and stirs the pot, you know. But, you know, who are the actual who are the actual stakeholders that matter? It's the students, you know. And so it's and that's why, you know, I maintain we have got to find ways within the HBCU community to take advantage or to create name, image, and likeness opportunities for student athletes. It's the one thing that I truly feel, Drew, regardless of race. Let me take that back, because I don't want to say race, because there are a lot of black kids at PWIs that are making good money off name, image, and likeness. Let's say the divide in high resource and low resource schools. NIL is the equalizer, I think.
I'll give you something also that we could be creative with when it comes to NIL, Bryan. Every athlete does not qualify for academic scholarships. Now, when you have somebody who can play some ball, they've got a 3.7 GPA coming out of high school. If they still do the ACT, if your school takes the ACT, you've got a 30 plus on the ACT, blah, blah, blah. That kid's going to get money, right? They're going to get money hand over fist in multiple ways. But what about that athlete? He's a decent basketball player, but he's at a D2 or NAIA. And for those of y'all who don't know, D2s and NAIAs typically don't give their student athletes full scholarship. But he's not going to qualify for any type of academic money because comes out of high school with a 2.7, 2.8. He's just an average student who just happens to be a good athlete. Why not, instead of scholarship, hey, that same $500, $1,000 scholarship that you may contribute to an NIL deal for this young man or young woman. And help that young man or young woman along, and hopefully they'll help your institution to some W's. Just by 2 cents.
No, I feel that. Here's what I think when I hear you say that. There's a large, I feel like there's a large segment. I don't know this to be fact. I feel like there's a large segment that will always defer back to what's the primary goal of the institution. And it's why you see so much given in the way of scholarships and funding. It's like when the schools go out and fundraise, the school's not necessarily fundraising for athletics. What are they usually fundraising for 9 times out of 10?
Academics.
Academic scholarships.
But what's the front door of the university?
I understand that. I understand that.
Now, I've got another problem
that every school deals with is how do you balance that, the monies that you're getting, whether it be federally or from the private sector, that you get for academics, whether it be your academic students to keep your teachers, things of that nature. But then how do you take advantage of relationships as it relates to athletics?
Here's the problem, Bryan. We don't take advantage of relationships as they relate to athletics because we don't what's the word I'm using for? We don't take advantage of opportunities that athletics provide us to market our university. Mm-hmm. How many of our universities are in towns where no one knows what your football schedule is? Well, I won't say football schedule. Most people know what the football schedule is. No one knows what the basketball schedule is. Man. No one knows what the volleyball schedule is.
Right.
When is the last time you went that a lot of these people go to a restaurant, barbershop, grocery store, whatever, and just, hey, I saw you in the grocery store. Here, come check us out to play. But you know what we don't do anymore, Bryan? Remember the old little schedule cards you used to get down at the gas station?
Yeah.
I mean, when the last time you seen one of those?
Is that a cost that people have thrown away because they've turned to social media? I mean, I love the schedule cards, and I think there's a generation who I think they're so easy to give away.
Hold on. Remember the refrigerator magnet schedule card?
Again,
refrigerator magnet.
Timeless promotional pieces.
I find those things from 7-8 years ago just floating around somewhere sometimes. Matter of fact, I had a scheduled magnet before I just moved into my new place that I know was 4 years old, still on my refrigerator.
Yeah. The question is, who's still doing those? I'm curious. Are there any? Did anybody do one last year? You guys in the chats or wherever you are.
Schedule card, schedule magnet. And remember, Bryan, when you used to go and you would have a day where everybody just came on campus and you used to autograph the posters?
Some schools are doing that. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Some schools still do that. I don't know if everybody, if they don't, they should. But then again, I think this might be a good year to start bringing that stuff back. If people shied away from it, obviously with the COVID stuff, but still, I think those are great ways to bring people back into the fold. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Let's start getting into it. I know Edward brings up a good question right out the chat rooms here. Can we get the SIAC versus the CIAA in football and basketball? Edward, you're look, I have been who has been advocating for not only in football but in basketball an SIAC versus CIAA week? Who? This guy. I have been talking about this for the last, I think, at least the last 3 seasons, right?
Minimum. And,
yeah.
And I'm gonna answer the basketball piece, Brian.
Go ahead with the basketball piece.
Working on something that close for something for postseason basketball. SIAC and CIAA, along with a few other institutions.
Yeah, but we got to find a way to get that during the regular season.
Well, they do. I know last year they had a CIAA SIAC challenge or crossover. I believe it was at Morehouse in the SIAC, and I want to say it's Shaw and the CIAA SIAC institution and the CIAA institution held one last year in basketball, along with the I believe SIAC and Sunshine State Conference had a crossover, and the Gulf South. There were a few different preseason basketball crossover and challenges in last season. I know the CIAA did some also.
Mm-hmm. So
there were a couple of weekends. I want to say those were around the Veterans Day weekend last year, the second weekend of November, the first full weekend that you could play last year. They did that, and hopefully there will be some more of those again. Haven't seen a lot of the basketball schedules being released yet, but there is that is definitely a football challenging because both conferences have an 8-game conference schedule. That only leaves 2 weeks in which you can play each other. And one of those is going to be a check game for most of the institutions. So that really only leaves one possible week that this could happen in football. I think football's a little bit more challenging in the near future.
You just said something about the 8-game. Who's going to an 8-game?
Both CIAA and SIAC have 8-game football schedules, 8 conference games.
What year? When?
Not currently. Oh. That was part of the switch with the SIAC going away from the division format.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. That's a good little tidbit for those who might have missed that. And we're waiting on our guest to. I think he's working on his internet connection. I saw him pop in for a quick half a second, so I think we'll get that. And I think obviously.
Now, go ahead. I do want to.
Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah,
I think you're going to go to where I was thinking about going. So go ahead.
Commissioner Holloway did say that they and the CIAA are possibly working on a Week 11 situation where
yes, I heard that.
It would be teams 3, 4, and possibly 5 in the SIAC, and it would be your 2s and 3s in the CIAA, possibly playing each other to hopefully improve playoff position, possibly get an at-large for a team. They help us get the schedule.
And that's genius. I heard him say that. On Dr. Gaville's show.
He mentioned it at the media day also.
He did mention that media day. All right.
Yes.
All right. So let's get ready for our next guest, because we're going to get into talking about the SIAC Football Media Day. You know him probably on Twitter as D2 HBCU Football Guy. That's at D2 HBCU Football. We are going to know him as Mr. Kendrick Hooks, D2 HBCU Football, with that Tuskegee banner. Yes, that means he's probably another Tuskegee guy I got to deal with around these parts. But Kendrick, welcome to the BCSN Sports Wrap. How you doing this evening?
I'm doing well. Appreciate you for having me.
Yeah, man.
Bryan, let me greet this brother the right way.
Okay.
T-U.
You know.
All right, now we can move on with the show.
Is this how every SIAC football show is going to begin? I'm just curious.
No, we'll be professional on that show. We'll maintain our professionalism.
Right. All right. No, it's just to sort of break, just in case you didn't know, but AD and Kendrick are going to be bringing their expertise and talents to the Black College Sports Network on a weekly basis, talking all things SIAC football. So, that's awesome. I mean, Kendrick does a great job of covering not only just the SIC, but D2 football. Of course, we know Drew writing for SIAC football for D2football.com. So, look, there's that's the one beautiful thing about what we do, is that we do give love and do a great job of covering D2. Kendrick, what?
Hey, Bryan.
Yeah.
I want you to think about this. You got the man with D2 football in his Twitter handle, and then you got the brother who writes for D2football.com teaming together to put on the podcast.
It's going to be a great show. It's going to be a great show. Kendrick, tell us a little bit about, what kind of angles and what kind of perspectives are you looking to be able to hit on with this show with Drew?
Yeah, so mainly it's just when it comes down to SIAC football, I've been around it like my whole life. Just been around it and been a historian by training. Just from the historical side, I bring a lot of that out, perspectives. And then just looking at the facts, the numbers. I know we're both Tuskegee men, Tuskegee gentlemen. But we bring honest, we be as unbiased as we can when it comes down to it. And we just called out and just bring more exposure and really get into the X's and O's, because sometimes the conference gets, kind of overlooked on some things, but it's really a good brand of football being played in the SIC.
Well, give me an area where you think the SIC gets overlooked. How would you, what kind of areas would you say that happens in?
I'll say they're the perception issue, and one of those perception issues that kind of drags down the conference is our out of conference records. But I would argue that if anybody played as many GSC teams as the SIC has played historically, their out of conference records would look the same too. So where our schools are located, we play a lot of, when people compare like the CIAA and what they've done and compare it to the SIAC, when you look at it, it's really because when we play out of conference, we play those top tier GSC teams. You play the Valdosta States. Yeah, those, the historic matchups with Albany State, Valdosta State, the West Georgia. So it's kind of like,
Alabama.
West Alabama. So you can say our out of conference record. And also a lot of SIC teams, they really play a lot of FCS, FCS teams. And so there's a lot of years that went by where, you look at those Tuskegee teams, they could have, the few years they did go in the playoffs, they did, fairly well. But we had some teams that I feel like could have really made some noise, but of course, because of our, obligation in the Turkey Day Classic, couldn't go. So, a lot of times we didn't get our best team in the playoffs. So I think we just kind of, people take our out-of-conference records for out of context. And so it just kind of drags down the, the opinion of the conference.
Yeah, that's a good point. Although I think over these last couple of years, the SIC teams, the upper echelon, have sort of cleared the hurdle of beating some of those non-conference teams. I mean, I think we've seen Albany State. Who else? Albany State. Who else have we seen?
Tuskegee got the win last year against West Alabama. I think we've seen Fort Valley pick up some non-conference wins. Savannah that first year that they dropped down picked up some non-conference wins. So so we have seen some do it, and I can't really remember if Miles has picked up any non-conference wins.
Miles had that 1 year that North Alabama was really strong, and they beat them by that one point. Coach Ruffin chose to go for the 2-point conversion instead of going into that second overtime with them. And that was when people started realizing, hey, this Miles team, under Ruffin was for real. They almost shocked the world. I think the North Alabama team, I think they went on, and I think they fell short in the title game that year. So, they have made a lot of gains, and even if you look at our FCS records, just take Tuskegee out of the FCS for a second because they used to call them the FCS Slayers, but you look at last year, those SIAC teams, they played those SWAC teams tough. And you talking about this during a time where everybody was talking about all the talent and the renaissance of the talent coming back to the SWAC. But you look at it, those SIAC teams, I think the largest margin of victory was 10 points from FAMU that people argue and say was the second best team, in the SWAC. And you look at Albany State, what they finished. I mean, you can argue them third or fourth best team in the SIAC last season. So you see a lot of those teams making waves.
And don't forget, Lane beat Tennessee State.
And Lane beat Tennessee State, and they were one bad call away from beating Pine Bluff.
Oh, wow. Really? Okay. Yeah. Man, it's got me thinking as I think about the SIC, and I wonder the SIC versus, I was just talking about before you jumped on, I don't know how much you heard, I've been advocating for a particular weekend where we had the SIC teams play the CIAA. I think that would be a fascinating cross mix, and almost the same way you see that done, that cross conference thing done in basketball. I know it's kind of hard to do in football given the number of games, well, especially previously, maybe less so previously than it is now, because you had everyone was playing 7 conference games prior to this season, where now everybody's jumped to 8. But what's your take on SIC versus the GSC versus the CIAA? In terms of street cred, if there was such a thing in football, you say, look, let's call it recruiting cred, because I think at the end of the day, that's what all these guys are going to be recruiting against. I mean, they're all recruiting against each other in the same footprint. So if you want to say, hey, our conference is this because we beat them X amount of times, which one holds more weight, do you think, Kendrick and Drew? I even propose that to you in terms of what holds more weight, beating a CIAA opponent, or if getting a chance to either play a close game, good game, or get a win versus a GSC opponent?
I'll go first. Depends on who you're asking, Brian. If you're asking somebody who is going to get you a possible playoff berth, that GSC win is going to carry more credit with them. If you ask somebody at the barbershop in Atlanta, Georgia, that win over that CIAA team is going to get you boys street cred than that win over Valdosta State or West Georgia or something along those lines. So it depends on who the market is or who you're trying to impress, Brian. You trying to impress the voters? Well, how about Valdosta State? How about the recruits?
Yeah, the recruits. I mean, that's where I think at the end of the day, either your recruits or your fan base, one of you two, I think would be your 1A and 1B. Now, like you said,
I'm the recruits are probably more happy with their victory over West Alabama or Valdosta State, because a lot of their classmates and a lot of the people who they grew up playing against are at those type of schools, Mississippi College or somewhere along those lines, about, one of those type teams. But if you ask the alums, oh, hell yeah, we'd rather be Winston-Salem State or be the Shaw or be the St. Aug or one of those things. So I think it's generational also, Brian. Just my 2 cents on it.
Mm. What about you?
Yeah. So you're going to get me in a little trouble here, but it's good.
Hey, that's how we love to do it. That's how we love to do it, Kendrick. Go ahead. Fire away. Get in trouble.
I'm one of those ones that core SIAC bunch, right? We got some more schools in now, but my mind still is wrapped around that core SIAC bunch. You take, like, for instance, the conference was trying to get that week 0 game with Benedict and with the Fayetteville State.
Fayetteville, yes, Fayetteville.
Yeah. I think when you look at the recruiting trend, you look at the type of recruits that Benedict goes after and the recruits that Fayetteville State goes after. A lot of those guys, they were really battling out on the recruiting trail. Most of the guys that had offers for Benedict had offers from Fayetteville State, your Shaws. You look at like Tuskegee and Fort Valley, Albany State. Albany State goes after a guy. Valdosta State is going after a guy. So it really depends on where you're trying to pull guys. Like, where do you recruit? Where's your recruiting footprint? I think when you look at schools like Tuskegee and Morehouse, when I had Morehouse head coach on the Twitter space, one of the things he said, that M gets him into anybody's house, and he can go anywhere and recruit. So I think it just depends on your brand and where you have to pull guys from. So a Morehouse and a Tuskegee, we can go to the West. Like there's things that Tuskegee can do and Morehouse can do that maybe a Fort Valley, Albany State, they don't have that particular brand to go, and find guys. So they really have to scrap with your Valdosta State. So they need a Valdosta State on the schedule. They need to play a Valdosta State and beat them because those guys are intertwined, So it just adds. So I like to see Benedict, they picked up the Shawan game. I was really happy about that because them just having 9 games, I was kind of scared they might get left out of the playoffs if they don't, dominate in a dominating fashion. So I think those schools, like they they can play the Shaws and the Fayetteville States, but then you get further down, you start looking at some of these attendance for some of the games that you've seen in the past. I mean, a Kentucky State versus a Livingstone. Who's interested in that? So it's just one of those. It's one of those things that it's a case by case scenario. And even with the conference moving to this 8-game schedule, I was really curious as to seeing where were the AD's mindsets. Because I know initially Dr. Holland was talking about putting teams in a better position for the playoffs. But then you see schools like Miles and Lane, they use the opportunity to get another payday because now they have 2 FCS teams on their schedule. Miles they play Bama State and Pine Bluff this year. Lane is playing A&M and I think they got Pine Bluff too. They have 2 FCS teams. So a lot of schools picked up that second FCS team. And we've seen historically when you put 2 FCS teams on your schedule because they don't count for the playoff, like Tuskegee in that 2017 year, you play Jackson State and FAMU, but then you're on the outside kind of looking in, from the playoff perspective because those numbers just don't count. So it's a philosophy for the individual schools and what that school needs. I understand Lane and Miles, hey, they may need those paydays.
Hey, I'm going to give you guys a great topic that I hope you guys get into talking about is
let me write this down.
Get your pen out. But it has to do with looking at the regional ranking committee and finding out, where is that representation? Because Kendrick,
who's the conference reader?
Right, because Kendrick just brings up a good point about, let's just say you said Lane and who was the other team that has 2?
Miles has 2. Tuskegee has 2.
Let's just say Lane.
Don't Tuskegee out because they got Turkey Day. So
yeah, they're
not trying to get
it don't matter. We can just load up on FCS teams now because
right. You guys have made it clear. We'll talk about. But Lane. Let's just say Lane has a strong year in conference where maybe they only lose one conference game. And let's just say maybe by some circumstance they end up as the number 3 team and just miss being in the 1 or 2 because of tie-breaking scenarios, right? This is where understanding the regional rankings and saying how is Lane going to be perceived, because they would only have 7 wins. They obviously, I hate to say the word, they forfeited or they passed on the opportunity to get 2 games that will count towards those regional rankings. You know what I'm saying? So I just think you guys finding a way to tackle the regional challenges or who those people are would be interesting to hear. So I'm just feeding the information. I think it'll be fascinating to kind of find out. All right, let's start getting into some of this because we want to make sure we get as much SIAC Media Day talk in this first hour. Yes.
I just want to throw something out. I'm looking at the master schedule right now.
Yeah.
You do realize Lane has Lynchburg on their schedule.
Oh, do they?
Okay.
How'd they fit them in there with the 8-game schedule? So wait a minute. They have
Lane only has 1. They got A&M. They got A&M and Lynchburg as the 2 non-conferences. Let's see.
Okay.
Miles has Pine Bluff.
That's I don't know if that's better or worse than having 2 FCS programs on your schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should have got another FCS. They should have went for the payday instead of the VUL.
Yeah.
Because nobody's going to – not only does the game not count, but nobody's going to be at the game. So you're not even going to make the game.
Well, hopefully, Drew, hopefully true Lane fans show up for that game.
All 500 of them.
See, you two are gonna get in trouble with a few fan bases. I see that now. Your Tuskegee elitism is gonna come through.
That's why there's going to be a third person on this podcast just because of that. And we'll introduce that third person in the next couple of weeks here on the Sports Wrap.
Unbelievable.
Because I knew I had to have balance because I didn't want everybody to see that TU bias come out. They already talk about it. They talk about you and me, Bryan, with the FAMU bias. So I wouldn't go ahead and happen to me twice.
Yeah. Well, then you get guys like Edwin Moore who jumps in and see. This is what I know. There are Lane fans out there somewhere. So you guys are going to piss off a whole legion of Lane College Dragon fans. I'm gonna tell you what.
They can all fit in the gym, Edwin Moore.
If Lane, wow, man. If Lane wins 6 games in conference, you two have to go to a Lane College basketball game and do a show from there. That's all I'm putting you on notice. If Lane wins 6 games in conference, y'all got to do a show from Lane College. Okay,
Bryan, Lane schedule, conference: Miles, Benedict, Tuskegee, Clark, Edward Waters, Kentucky State, Central State, Savannah.
Look, Drew, don't do it. I'm not gonna look. We're not gonna do predictions on because you know what?
I'm just saying. You said 6 wins. You tell me where them 6 coming from.
Hey, I don't know. I haven't done. That's your job. What'd you say, Kendrick?
They had their shot last year. I felt like last year was their shot. Then after the no.
Although I will say, watch out for my guy Walter Tatum. He was first team for Lane. Used to coach him in high school, so I am rooting for at least one person over at Lane. Number 31, Walter Tatum.
All right, let's get into talking about this the SIAC upcoming season. First off, we mentioned going to an 8-game schedule, no divisions. Drew, I think we've touched on it before, but I want to get Kendrick's take on that change, and then we'll let you add yours in again, Drew. So Kendrick, what's your opening thoughts on the 8-game schedule, non-divisions, just overall?
So here I am about to get in trouble again.
How we like it.
I'm glad the divisions are gone because the divisions cost Tuskegee maybe 2 or 3 other championships. Because those divisions, I'm one of the ones that I know that we can have two teams in the championship game, but a lot of times those two teams did not represent the best two teams in the conference. A couple of those seasons, Tuskegee would have like 7 wins against the SIAC schools and lose that one to Miles, and then Miles is in the championship game. But I won't go too deep into that. But so I'm happy to see that change back. The only thing that I probably think that needs a little tweaking, some schedules favor some teams, and I know that'll switch, over time and as teams change and whatever. But some teams, in my opinion, have favorable schedules, and one of the things that I'm looking out for is how teams match up now, because normally you get those division games later in the season. Like first game of the season, you get Miles and Lane, and that would be a game you would get later on in the season. And then you got like Tuskegee gets Clark late in the season, and that was the last time that Clark beat Tuskegee. That was Slater's first SIAC loss, playing Clark late in the season one year, and it was like they had no business beating us, but they got it in. And so it goes back to that depth issue, injuries, especially like at the quarterback position. So you said the season goes along, you're gonna really see. You might see some teams that you normally catch, when they're banged up a little bit, but you got them fresh, and some teams that you would normally catch while you were fresh, you might catch them banged up this season. So I think it is going to open the gate for the. I think, in my opinion, I really just hope the conference doesn't devour itself because of the types of matchups from the no divisions now.
Interesting. Drew, your take.
Looking at the schedules, and I'm going to stay on the schedules, this thing is almost set up for Benedict to repeat. Benedict, on their conference schedule, only has 2 teams that were above 500 last year. That being Savannah State and Fort Valley. Same thing with Albany State. Albany State, the only 2 teams that they have on their schedule that were above 500 were Savannah State and Albany State. You think that might be why everybody picked those as 1, 2 in the conference? I'm just saying. Now and I'm just going to take the teams that predicted 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's look at Tuskegee's schedule. They've got Fort Valley on their schedule. They've got Savannah State and Savannah State on their schedule. So they are about the same as the other 2. So Tuskegee's in a favorable position. Fort Valley, though, they've got Tuskegee, Savannah State, Benedict, and Albany State on their schedule. That's 4 of your 8 right there. If you win all 4 of those, trust me, you deserve to be in there. And we're just going one more. The team number 5. Savannah State on their conference schedule, the teams above 500, they've got Albany State, Fort Valley State, Tuskegee, Benedict, and Lane. So Savannah State probably has the toughest schedule conference-wise right now of the teams that are expected to continue.
So let's bring it back to the top 4 here as we look at the preseason rankings from yesterday or last week's media day. Obviously, Benedict favored Albany State 2, Tuskegee 3, Fort Valley State 4. Drew, who and I don't know, Kendrick, if you broken down the schedules as heavy as I'm sure Drew has. So we'll go either Drew and then Kendrick on this. Who has you mentioned Benedict. You like their schedule as being favorable. You could see them back in a championship game again. Among Tuskegee, Albany State, Fort Valley, who's got a schedule that looks favorable that could put them in a championship game?
You said Tuskegee?
Well,
Fort
just
Valley?
among the top 4. I mean, let's go to top 4. I mean, obviously, if you want to go outside the top 4.
Everybody but Fort Valley.
Okay. Kendrick,
All three of the other teams, I would say their schedule is pretty much the same. but Fort Valley, by far of the four on the screen, based on last year's records, has the toughest schedule of the four that you have on the screen.
Yeah, so I agree with that. Like, just based off, last year's results, I would say, Fort Valley would have a hard road to run because you got to know Tuskegee going to throw everything they got at them that first game. Like, to beat us 3 years in a row in the Red Tail Classic, like, come on now. Albany State. However, with some context, I think it kind of lightens it up lightly. Growing pains or something. I know the voters voted Albany State too, but the philosophy, the philosophies that change, and just hearing Coach Gray talk a couple of times and just looking at that roster and what he says and what he says he wants to do, I just feel like Albany State will have some growing pains. I don't think they're gonna fall off to be, like under 500, but I just think that they're gonna have a few growing pains. I went on Twitter and I was talking about I felt like Fort Valley should be 2.
I do too.
Yeah, just because of what they had coming back and just looking at them. So, but that schedule, Drew said, just based off last year, they have a really hard road to road. But now, even though we're saying Tuskegee, we look at theirs, but you look at how close those games were last year. In some of those games, you might say, a flip of the coin. In 3 of those games, we could have lost. So it's like, I don't know. We went 2 overtimes with Miles, 2 overtimes with Clark, or did we go 3 overtimes with Clark?
I don't know. It was something ridiculous like
that. Yeah,
it
was, that Central State game, they were right there, and Allen almost came, there were some close games. So it's not just looking at what those other teams have done with their roster. I just think the conference is wide open. I'll just be honest. But like Benedict has the easiest to me because of what they have coming back defensively, and especially on that defensive line. I'm not sure if any of the schools have addressed their offensive line woes enough in the offseason with additions and the way they recruited to be able to handle Benedict's defensive line this year. So that's why I feel like Benedict is, primed to and with the schedule to go back.
Here's the question, y'all. Is Benedict 2023 what Southern was in 2022? Southern had an excellent defense. It had everything in offense, but the question was at quarterback. Eric Phoenix is not there anymore. We don't know what Benedict has at quarterback. We know if they solve that quarterback problem, Benedict will be tough to beat because of that defense. Just like Southern last year had one of the top number 2 defense in the conference next to Jackson State, but couldn't solve the quarterback problem. Will that be Benedict this year?
Yeah, but Southern had a new coach, new philosophy, and I saw you guys. You started talking about this, Kendrick, and I was surprised to see Albany State and Tuskegee in the top 4, given that they have new coaches. But then again, like I told Drew, we were talking about this offline. Everybody who has won a title, with the exception of Miles, since Drew 1992, is in this top 4. I mean, literally. I mean, there's prior to Benedict winning the title last year, you had 4 teams that won a title over almost a 30 years period.
Ever since Alabama A&M left the conference.
Right. You had Albany State winning 11, Tuskegee winning 10, Miles 4, Fort Valley State 3. I mean, so I feel like name brands, guys like, I don't know who to pick. Oh hell, let me put Tuskegee here. Oh hell, let me put Albany State here. No disrespect to those programs, right? Those teams, but new coaches. And Fort Valley State 2nd-year coach. I just find it fascinating to me. I mean, you find that fascinating at all, or is that just me? Is that a me thing?
You got to put when you say new coach at Tuskegee, please put an asterisk by that because Aaron James was on staff. Aaron James was on staff last year.
Yeah, but okay, are you telling me Aaron? I mean, you guys should know. Was Aaron James I don't know what level
he was the OC last year. Okay. He had coach in waiting last year, so he knew he was taking this job over. Coach Ruffin knew he was going to make that transition. So James, of all the new coaches, James does have a leg up on everyone else because he has been on campus for a year. He was actually able to go out with Ruffin last year and start recruiting players for what he wanted to do in 2023. He didn't have to sit and take the job in late April or whatever, because we slow with hiring people. He was already there. As soon as the season was over with in December, Aaron James hit the recruiting trail. He didn't have to wait to be named head coach 3 days after signing day, like some of these coaches were. So he has that advantage.
Okay.
And I also think when it comes down to Tuskegee, like there's so much. I mean, they were right up the road at Miles. The recruiting trail, they already knew. Tuskegee and Miles was battling for guys, for years, ever since Ruffin ended up at Miles. So it's like where they already know the landscape is a little bit different for Tuskegee. The only thing I was always curious about, because of course James stayed in the press box last season, and personally I wanted to see just kind of his demeanor on the sidelines. But that staff is still kind of senior at Tuskegee, because you look at as long as we have Coach Powell, and I think his birthday was yesterday, day before yesterday. So, happy birthday, Coach Powell. He's there, and I mean, and you got guys who just know Tuskegee around there. Our tight end coach is still there. So it's like, that coaching staff,
Coach Brunson is still there.
Yeah, coach, like, those coaches at Tuskegee, they're not new. Those guys, they already know what the expectation is for that. So it's just a step up. I think that philosophy is going to be pretty solid at Tuskegee. When it comes down to Albany State, yes, you talking about a coach, he's coming in, putting the staff together, getting acquainted, stuff that Coach James didn't have to. He's had to hire a defensive line coach and a safeties coach. But other than that, and then
that's part of typical coaching cycle to hire 1 or 2 coaches because we get jobs elsewhere.
Yeah, and then they hired
the entire staff.
Yeah, they hired guys that were already, like Watson, that's coming from Miles, that was at Miles, early on. So it's, the guys that they were comfortable with. So I think it really impacts, the schools like, Albany State, bringing in an entire new staff coming back.
Okay, great. That's a great point. Great point. Let's go to this next group, okay? These are the group, for everybody 5 on down. And you take a look at their predicted order. Now, one of the things that were brought up, of course, last year in the preseason rankings, nobody had the 2 teams who played in the championship, nobody had those 2 teams really favored to win their division. Obviously, Benedict wasn't favored, and Tuskegee was not favored. Although I think a lot of us in the media were kind of shaking our head like, if I had to put my money on somebody, it was Tuskegee. I remember having that conversation with Jamie Walker and a few other people. So if you look at this group from, Savannah State all the way on down to Morehouse, and there's 2 new coaches, obviously at Morehouse and Kentucky State. Is there anybody in this group that could find their way into, say, that top 3 or 4 echelon that maybe will challenge Fort Valley or Tuskegee or Benedict for a shot at a championship?
Let you go first, Kendrick.
So as much as I don't want to say this, I think it's Miles. Miles had a 1-9 record. That was definitely not a 1-9 team. They just when Coach Shea got there, the amount of guys that came over from Miles, with roughing. I felt like it was already going to be rough. He talked about it. Depth was his, an issue for his team. Playing Alabama State, which is just a physical team, that first game, and plus Alabama State had already played, a tough game against Howard, so they pretty much knew. You talking about this new head coach getting a team lose your top wide receiver, your running back, and your number one quarterback. Basically in the first drive, first two drives of the game, that was rough. But that defense that he had. That defense, I put this on my Twitter page not too long ago. It took Bama State, I think, 6 possessions after about that 3-minute mark in the first quarter to even get a positive yard against that defense of Miles. It's like once Miles realized they were in a game, that defense showed up. And if you can see that same defense throughout the season, that defense shut Benedict's offense down. I know that score is confusing the people, that 20-3. They only scored 1 offensive touchdown.
I was there.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah. And they did the same thing with Albany State. It's just Miles just had no offense at all. Like, it was horrible. But the weapons that he's getting back, the guys that were hurt, the guys that couldn't play, that decided to come back for them. Plus, he added the wide receiver. I think in the spring he only had 4 wide receivers on roster. They went out and got some guys. He also said that Claude is coming back. So that that right there took my stock in Miles right back up. Once I realized that he was coming back, for another year. They got a pretty good recruit coming from Louisiana, that quarterback they signed. I can't think of his name at the moment. So, I think Miles, you look at those pieces that they had, I think they lost a defensive end that was really good, and he's going to be at lane. But other than that, that defense is pretty intact, that linebacker core. So, you can look at that 1-9 schedule, and you look at what they did. If they had a little bit of offense, a lot of things could have been different, in the conference last year. So I wouldn't sleep on Miles.
That's interesting. That's interesting. A 1-9, 1-6 conference team. What about you, Drew?
I got a couple teams, and I'm gonna go through them quickly. First team I'm going to say is Edward Waters. They've got Deshaun Hughes back there at running back. I was messing with Joshua Jackson, the sports information director at Edward Waters, and I was like, damn, how many years eligibility do Hughes have? So I think he is finally a true senior. This is it for him.
Yeah, this is his final year. Yep.
Yeah, that's what he said. I was like, dang, I literally remember when he literally came onto that campus as and he was an impact running back then.
Yes.
So I just knew he was gone by now. So that's
COVID
one
year.
team. Yeah, COVID and red shirts and all that kind of stuff is caught up with people. But you got to remember, Edward Waters lost a couple of games last year, literally on the last play of the game, and I believe 2 of those were conference games.
First 3 games
lost on the last play of the game, and they won their last 4 games of the season. So if they pick up, even if they pick up 2 of those 4, they lost their first 4. If they pick up 2 of those first 4 where they lost on the last drive or the last play of the game, we're talking about a very different Edward Waters team.
And Drew, I'm still curious about that lane call that gave them the ability to bring that field goal team. I bring that up. I still haven't got a really good explanation for that because I unofficially say that Edward Waters was 6-5 and not 5-6 last year.
Yeah, but Edward Waters very easily could have had 8 wins last year. Very easily. So I expect them to get over that hump this year. Don't laugh at me when I say this, y'all. Allen probably has the second best quarterback. Well, let me say that. Allen has the best quarterback returner in the conference, not named Kelvin Durham, and that being David Wright. 2 things for Allen. A, they got to keep Wright healthy. He only played in like 5-6 games last year. Number 2, Allen can't stop a runny nose. So Allen got to figure out a way to get some stops. If Allen can figure out those two, I mean, I really see Allen picking up 4 or 5 wins this season if they can figure that out. And my wild card, Clark Atlanta. They have a favorable schedule. Their 2 toughest games occur in the first 3 weeks. If Clark Atlanta goes into October with 1 or fewer losses, that's going to be the team that's going to not get that may wind up playing in the championship game. Everybody sleep on Coach Slater. Coach Slater, until he became athletic director, was a good coach. He's only the second winningest coach in Tuskegee history. Now, he's no longer an athletic director. All he has to do is coach. Let's keep something in mind. Remember Clark Atlanta did not have an athletic director.
Right.
Who was not named the interim athletic director.
Yeah. They probably asked him. He was like, nope. He's trying like, hell no. I don't want to do that.
Me coach. So now that he's got that coach, and he's had an opportunity to go through a full recruiting cycle and get everything like he wants to, and he has an athletic director who he can say, bro, I did that job. This is what I need. I know where it is. I already know where the money is. Give me what I need. Because, everything was in flux last year. So Clark Atlanta is going to be the team to sleep on.
Oh, wow. You guys, you bring up some interesting points. And I guess for me, what I'm going to have to really dig deep into is go back again and say, if I had to say the 3 toughest teams, and I got to really put a question. You guys brought up great points about Albany State, and there's a belief in Coach Gray that I have. But I love the points brought up about possibly a change in philosophy where they were a defensive-minded, run-the-ball type of team where they may become more offensive-minded because of the change in coach. Well, that aside, I'm looking for teams who has to play Benedict, Fort Valley, and Tuskegee. And where do you have to play those 3 teams? Because I think those are the 3 teams that you have to conquer or don't have to play on the road or have to play at all in order to really find yourself in the championship game.
You said Benedict, Fort Valley, and who?
Tuskegee. I think
I know the one team that has to play. Let's see, Fort Valley themselves have to play Benedict, Albany State, and Tuskegee.
But see, I think Fort Valley is built like okay. So basically, let me analyze this from the standpoint of saying if these were heavyweight boxers, you got the number 1, 2, 3 contenders where I think, hey, all it takes is a good punch, a good fight. If you're the 2 or 3 guy, you can beat the 1. But if you're the number 5 contender or number 6 contender, you need a break. You need somebody. You need to catch a good left hook, catch somebody on a bad night, maybe a little food poisoning the night before. I don't know, something that's going to help you get over the hump. And so to the equivalent of that would be, hey, we don't play them on our schedule this year, or hey, we have them at home. You know what I'm saying? I think you traveling to Tuskegee, you traveling to Benedict, you traveling to Fort Valley State, not advantageous for you and your chances at winning a title or getting to the championship game. Just my opinion.
So I'll piggyback and say this. When we talk about when Drew named Edward Waters, I think Edward Waters is in a good position, even though they do have Tuskegee on the schedule and they do have Benedict on the schedule. Benedict has to make that trip to Jacksonville. And that's a game that I have circled. It's the second game of the season. Of course, Edward Waters has Florida Memorial first, and then they have Benedict. Benedict plays Shaw that first game. Okay, that's an interesting matchup. It's an interesting SIAC CIAA matchup. We don't know how good Shaw is going to be, but I told people they're not Elizabeth City. Okay, let's be very clear. So it won't be what Benedict did to Elizabeth City last year. So it's a game that I feel like Benedict is going to have to take, really serious. But Edward Waters is scrappy at home, right? Like they are really scrappy at home.
And they have a good crowd there.
Yeah. And I just think that if somebody's going to catch Benedict early before they jail, because you look at, they lost some men on the offensive line. Last year, they had a lot of grad transfers at the offensive line position. They have some guys that they say that they, matriculated through the program. So getting those guys, make sure their communication is there, with the new signal caller. A lot of people talk about Benedict year being magical. But if you look back and look at Eric Phoenix's progression, the year before, had he stayed healthy that season, Benedict probably would have been in a different position, because this Benedict went down and beat Miles on homecoming. Miles was the big dog on around the conference in that 2021 season. And they go down there and beat Miles on their homecoming. And that's what made me say, wait, I think Coach Berry is working on something at Benedict. That was my first eye-opener to say, yeah. And I looked at Phoenix. I said, you know what? He's a little green in a few areas, but you know what? When they let him loose, he can be that guy. So you see them come back this year. So that's what kind of, has me like, I think, because they would have a new quarterback that's not, haven't matriculated or played a lot of time in that system, I do think that that's going to be something that impacts them. And I think it's for the ripening for Edward Waters to catch them in that second week. And then, they have Tuskegee on the schedule, but we play them for homecoming. And we know that historically, teams can come in there. If you want to catch Tuskegee slipping at home, you can come in there and catch us slipping at homecoming. Okay. Kentucky State has done it. Miles consistently has done it. Lane almost did it one year. Like, if there's an opportunity to catch us slipping, is to catch us slipping during homecoming. So I think those are
that's because there's too many homecoming activities.
Yeah.
And if you understand what I'm saying, be too many activities. Hey, Bryan, before we get out here, you've talked about some of the schedules. If your school name begins with an M in the SIAC this year, you are royally screwed. Miles.
That's next level analysis right here, folks.
Check Miles' schedule. They've got 2 FCSs. Albany State, Pine Bluff. Back-to-back weeks.
Back-to-back, though. That's the one.
Back-to-back weeks.
Yeah. I haven't given Bama State, though. But
then you have Benedict in the middle, and then Albany State, Tuskegee to close out your schedule. Not a formula for success. You think that's bad? Let's take the other M.
This is a hell of a September for this team that you're about to call out. This is a hell of a September.
Yeah.
You have Howard. On DC, what's that in DC? No, that's in New York.
That's the
DC. They got Albany State in the New York, the Classic this year.
Okay, that's the one in DC. Okay. Wait a minute. So you got to go from DC back to Atlanta, then back to New York.
Well, you got to go to Ohio
first.
You got to go to Ohio first. Yeah, you forgot about the Ohio weekend to start the season.
Yeah. They got
Ohio, DC, New York, Jacksonville, Florida. Then you go to Columbia, South Carolina to play Benedict. Before you and you still haven't made it home. Then you go to Birmingham, Alabama to play Tuskegee.
It's a tough September.
Before you finally come home to play Miles.
Didn't Wyclef sing a song called "Gone in September"? Or that was gone by November. They'll be gone by September. Morehouse might be gone by September.
Wait, hold up. Then after you get that one home game against Miles, now you got to travel down 75 and go play Fort Valley. That's a monster.
Yeah. Hey, before we close out this segment here, Kendrick, again, you guys make sure to follow Kendrick at D2 HBCU Football on Twitter. You know him as the D2 HBCU Football guy. He and Drew will be bringing an SIAC football show right here to the Black College Sports Network this fall. Give me your 1-2. Who plays in the SIAC championship game, Kendrick?
Fort Valley is conditioned. If Fort Valley beats Tuskegee first game, they're going undefeated. So I have them. I have them there, and very possibly could be a Fort Valley Benedict SIC championship game. However, if Tuskegee wins that, then it's going to be a Tuskegee Benedict showdown again.
All right. So the Red Tails is going to determine who's going to be in one half of that championship game. That'll be that's a way to hype that game up. Drew, who's in your championship game?
I have Fort Valley Tuskegee in the championship game, but I have Tuskegee beating Fort Valley in the Red Tails Classic, and that being Fort Valley's only loss on the season. Like you said, been known to slip up. I've got Clark Atlanta coming in on homecoming and beat Tuskegee, as it's a true homecoming as Coach Slater comes back home for Tuskegee's regular season loss.
All right.
So both teams will come in 9-1.
Somebody out there, let me know if you find a book that has that game already pre-planned so I can go put some money down on Clark. Let me know if you find that anywhere out there, folks. All right. Hey, Kendrick, man, we look forward to you joining the family, joining the network, being a part of everything that we do, and we can't wait till you and Drew get going. I believe Monday nights or obviously the sports wrap won't be on Monday nights, but your show, Drew, right? Monday nights coming up in the fall.
We're just trying to get everybody trained to be looking for us on Monday nights.
I got you. Hey, exactly. There you go. So we'll let you guys know exactly what time and the more specifics in the upcoming weeks. But again, we look forward to you.
In August.
Okay, good deal. Well, we look forward to it. Kendrick, Drew, we're looking forward to it, man. Thanks for taking some time out tonight. And you guys make sure you're following Kendrick at D2 HBCU Football on Twitter. And let's get ready to take a break, because coming up we're going to pivot from football to the basketball court and talk about the HBCU Basketball Association. That'll be beginning this August, next month, in about less than 3 weeks. So we're going to talk to a young man who is participating in that, and hopefully the co-founders as well. You're watching the BCSN Sports Wrap right here on the Black College Sports Network. We'll be back in just a moment.
Itchy, squirmy, scratchy, family not getting clean? Get Charmin Ultra Strong. Go get 'em. It just cleans better. With a diamond weave texture, your family can use less while still getting clean.
Goodbye, itchy squirm. Hello, cream bottom.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
At Hampton Law, our primary goal is to provide non-traditional yet effective solutions and redefine the approach to client legal concerns. As your trusted legal advisor, we believe in sophisticated, personalized services that eliminate the confusion and complexity sometimes associated with legal matters. Our high standard for client care and concern, coupled with our extensive legal knowledge and skills, make Hampton Law a resource focused on the protection of the client's interest and overall goals. We value our clients and truly enjoy working with them. Visit thamptonlaw.com to conveniently schedule an appointment online. Tamika Hampton Esquire, 1631 Rock Springs Road, Suite 336, Apopka, Florida, 407-494-1471. thamptonlaw.com.
Nope.
Come on, him.
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Stride K-12 powered schools are ready to put over 20 years of being a leader in online education to work for you. Dive into curriculum design for the online classroom. Team up with state-certified teachers trained in virtual instruction. Take control of your child's education journey. Discover the power of personalized learning with a leader experienced in preparing kids for a future they can be excited about. Take charge. Stride K-12. Enroll now for the fall.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Bryan and AD here. Got to, again, thank Kendrick Hooks for jumping in and joining us in our last segment. Yeah, Edwin, you know, sorry, summertime blues, man. Look, we'll get it right. It's coming up. Give us August. Give us August, and then we'll after SWAC Media Day, then we'll have it all squared away. All right, so what? Got to respect the red. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. I'm more excited now for the Red Tails Classic. It'll be interesting. So, a lot of you may have heard about the HBCU Basketball Association. If not, go check the website out, www.thehbcuba.com. A startup basketball league featuring primarily HBCU graduates. This has been in the works for the last couple of years, or at least the last year is when I've seen the press on this. And so getting ready to join us right now is a young man, a Tuskegee grad who played or will be playing in this new league. And so
notice the theme of tonight's show, Bryan.
I know you Tuskegee guys, man. Look, joining us. Hold on, let me first, Drew. I'll let you get the introductions out of the way.
All right, back. We gotta do this. You know. See?
All right. There you go. All right. Javier McKinney, appreciate you joining us. How you doing this evening?
I'm doing good. I literally just got finished working out. I'm doing good.
I see. I was watching you. You look like you were coming from somewhere in the gym or somewhere getting to the car. So we appreciate you taking time to join us. Let's kind of start a little background on you for people outside of Tuskegee, Alabama, who may not be familiar with your playing career. Give us a little bit of background info on you and your playing time at Tuskegee.
Well, I can honestly say Coach Drew, the one got me to Tuskegee. He saw me playing in high school, and it went from there. I went from 2010 to 2014, 3-time SIAC champion. You know, got that freshman of the year, my freshman year. Yeah, just had an amazing run. Was the first HBCU to reach the Elite Eight in Division II basketball.
Three times. So we got a 3-time. See, Drew, you buried the lead. I didn't know we were talking to a 3-time champion. You know,
Yeah, 3 times.
I thought we were just talking to a young brother that went to Tuskegee and was going about to
Nah.
play in professional league. And those experiences of winning 3 championships. You know, obviously you've continued the basketball dreams since then. How have those years, how have they sort of shaped you or motivated you in the time since you finished at Tuskegee?
I can say it kind of molded me to the player I am today. You know, I had a lot of setbacks, injuries. You know, then our season getting cut with COVID. So it's like I had to tap into a different mentality to continue playing. That was like Coach Drew would tell you, I was headstrong, just out. But now I was Mister. I can't nobody tell me nothing. I just want to play. But now I done got the mentality like it's team first. So,
all right, Drew. Since he opened the door, Drew, you got to tell a story. Something that won't get him in trouble. Something that won't get him in trouble with his new organization. Give us a good story.
Actually, like you said, he was a very headstrong player. I can remember as a freshman before he had any hours on the yard, he handed it all ball. And there were a couple of upperclassmen who had to put him in check and like young fella, you haven't earned your stripes yet. But got on the court by the end of the season. Like I said, he was freshman of the year, so he earned his stripes by the end of the season. Earned the respect of all the upper class, and those teams are still close to this day, Brian.
Yeah, we is like
we're all in a group Facebook chat. Got a messenger group. You know, for some reason, I'm the only coach that they let into that group. I think that might unfortunately, one of our coaches has passed, and the other one, I don't even think he knows how to log into Facebook. So.
Nah, so, yeah, but yeah, like to this day, like, and it's crazy. I'm the youngest one in the group. Like, they literally helped me get through Tuskegee basketball, and like to this day, like I can call either one of them, and they're gonna give me advice, give me life advice, basketball advice. Like to this day, like. They still got my back.
Yeah. And he's the only one still running up and down the court with any type of consistency. Yeah. Everybody else, kids, age, injuries that caught up with them. So everybody right now is living the dream through back.
So talk a little bit about that. You know, the basketball journey. What's the basketball journey like for you? But you know, between finishing the college career and then trying to get into professional and continue to dream, and here you are on the verge of being a part of this new league.
Hold on, before you say that, let me correct.
Go ahead.
There is one other one. We do have one who played during that era who's playing for the Globetrotters right now. So those are the two that are still living the
we do
basketball dream.
Okay.
Go ahead, Matt.
I can say after I finished Tuskegee, I got in some trouble, and it derailed me. Like I had to sit down, and go to jail. You know, the usual. I don't sugarcoat my journey. That helped me to this day. So after I got myself together. I had a chance at going to the summer league in 2016. I ended up tearing my Achilles. So, I honestly gave up basketball. Then Miss Kim, the owner of the HBCU league, saw me in just a scrimmage game. And like she was like, "Hey, you can play. Come play for me." I'm like, I just shrugged it off like, "Nah, I'm just playing the league." So she was like, "Nah, I got something for you." So I went to her tryout. That's when she had the surge. So from 2017 to now, I've been with her like every step of the way from the beginning of the surge to now. She creating her own league, the HBCU league for nothing but HBCU players, and like she made me a focal point of the league, and like I can't do nothing but respect that and give her my all.
So tell us, for those who aren't familiar, obviously the Surge is one of 6 teams that'll be playing in the HBCU BA. And let me pull up this for those who may be interested in the first game of the league will be Saturday, August 5th, between the Movement and the Surge in Houston, Texas. So obviously the Surge is based in Birmingham, correct? So tell us. So just give us a little background on, you know, the Surge and kind of what it's been. You know, what league have you been playing in? The background in terms of games, and then when Miss Clark and Mr. Williams, and they put together this league. What is that conversation like to you and other guys?
Well, with the Surge, we played in the ABA from 2017 to till she started this, and the ABA is cool. You know, it's basically entertainment league, but it can get serious. In that league, I was averaging 48 to 50 points a game. So when they presented me about the HBCU league, like the conversation was like, "Hey, let's do something for all the athletes that get overlooked by the pros overseas." So I was like, "What you mean?" Like she was like, "Yeah, that's like nothing but HBCU players that can still play, but doesn't get the proper respect from the league." So I was like, "Yeah, that sounds great. Like it's a lot of players that's in the HBCU." So they presented me everything. Then it was like, "Yeah, it's gonna be 6 teams, one here in Birmingham, Houston, Texas, New Orleans, Atlanta, and Memphis, Mississippi, and Tennessee." So it's basically around any HBCU player, anybody that went to HBCU for a semester can try out and play. But on August 5th, with us.
Hold on, Mac. I think we might have lost you a little bit.
You're buffering there.
The HBCU movement team.
Mac, if you would do me a favor, repeat what you just said. We lost you. We lost you a little bit in the signal there. Repeat that the last part of what you were saying about the one after once you heard what the AB or what the league was going to be in terms of 6 teams and the locations. We lost you after that.
Oh yeah, the locations are Birmingham, Houston, Texas, New Orleans, Atlanta, Mississippi, and Tennessee. And anybody that went to a HBCU in them areas for one semester can go try out. And the first inaugural game, it's between the 2 owners teams, us and the HBCU Surge, and Kevin's team and the HBCU movement in Houston, Texas. So that's gonna be the first inaugural game, and like the publicity on that is through the roof. Like its tickets already been sold, people already paying their vendor spots. Like it's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a classic game to start this league off.
All right.
Excellent. All right. I got to ask one stupid question, McKinney. Where's the Charlotte team, man? We got to get into CIAA territory if this league is going if this league is going to survive. Any particular reasons why they didn't go into the CIAA country?
True. Hey, I honestly don't. Now I think they was working on it, but they couldn't.
Okay.
I'm not completely sure.
Gotcha. Now, hopefully you know, are these games going to be available like online or YouTube or on the website or something?
Yeah, they're all going to be streamed.
And is it pay or free, or you know if it's pay or free?
It's free. It's free. They're going to be free on the HBCU website.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Yeah, one of the things, Drew, as I'm bumping around again, you guys can go. You guys who are watching, anybody can go to the HBCUBA.com, and I'm just kind of bumping around the FAQs. The games are actually and I did read this last year or maybe I don't know where the article was that I read it. They will be they signed a deal with HBCU Go. So this was kind of right about that time when HBCU Go was looking for different, content. So the games will be a part of HBCU Go TV. And so that's a great opportunity to potentially get picked up, not only streaming, but if they do get some linear looks as well.
I think the right side might help you guys out.
Yeah, another surprise is a lot of our games are gonna be at HBCUs.
Oh, really?
On HBCU campuses. Yes. It's gonna be on HBCU campuses.
Okay.
Yeah. We're trying to bring money.
I was hoping to kind of. So they're basically definitely partnering with. So in Birmingham, who's in Birmingham?
Miles.
Okay.
HBCU in Birmingham.
Okay.
Yeah, Miles and Lawson State.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What about the length of the schedule? What does the length of the schedule look like in comparison to what you previously played in the ABA? Is it similar? How many games? Excuse me. How many games?
No, I think we're gonna play like 25 to 30 games.
Okay.
So it's gonna be like a full length season. Yeah.
Okay. And I
like
know
in the ABA, we're probably playing every other weekend or every 2 games a month, but in this league, we'll probably play like 3 or 4 games a month.
Okay. Yeah, I was looking at the schedule of just the events, various events, where they start with this first Saturday on August 5th, but they actually have events that are happening into November, December, all the way concluding with the championship series, March 22nd through the 24th in Jacksonville. So that's where the championship series will be played. It's interesting, man. This is fascinating. And so, I mean, I'm curious. You've been here on stateside playing professionally. Did you explore, or did you have any opportunities overseas with overseas teams, or what was that journey like for you?
I had plenty of opportunities, but again, with my legal troubles, I couldn't leave the States for like 5 years. I literally just got off in 2021. So now it's teams coming back around as they see me back playing, but they want to see more. So with this league, it's going to give me more exposure back to show them that, hey, I still got it to get back to over there. So, yeah.
That's good,
like
man. That's good.
I had a lot of teams offering.
Right.
But, like I tell everybody, don't never let your past derail your future. That's
True.
my favorite quote. Don't never let your past derail your future. No matter what you went through in the past, your future can always be 1,000 times better. So.
That's what's up. Yeah. Drew, any more questions or any other things you want to get in here with Matt while we got him?
Well, I'll just I just want to go here. What did your experience at Tuskegee mean for you as you matured from that young teenager that I saw playing in the gym those couple of times that I saw you to where you are today?
I can honestly credit my teammates. Honestly, like if it wasn't for them actually calming me down and like sitting me down and like being like, hey, look, you'll be a better player, a better man if you do XYZ. And it's two people I can name in particular that literally, and that's Byron GP and Keith. Keith, they stay on me. Like, even Melo still get on me. Like, they stay on me.
And to put that in context, those were the senior statesmen of those teams when Javier got to Tuskegee. I believe Melo had just he was a student assistant at that point because he had finished his eligibility but had not finished his coursework yet. So he was
a coach.
Yeah, yeah, he was a student assistant coach at that point in time. So yeah, and that's one thing, you know, we say when we want to about HBCUs, you know, they preach the brotherhood and the sisterhood, but you know, and Javier is just one of the many examples of that throughout HBCUs that we've seen.
Yeah, but yeah, I can honestly credit like my old heads and my teammates that I have and on winning the championships for help molding me into the player I am today.
All right. One other question. Who are some of the names that we may see in this league from some of the other HBCU institutions that people may be familiar with?
I honestly don't know. They won't tell us who all then, you know, signed up other teams, but I know one player for sure. His name is Q something. He played at Tennessee State, and he's playing with the HBCU movement team. And they said he was a go-getter. He's one of the top prospects coming out of Tennessee State. So he will be playing with the Houston team.
What about guys on your team? Any names? What's the roster look like or constructed like of where are some of the guys from that are playing with you on the Surge?
A lot of them are actually from around here, like Lawson State, Miles. I'm the only one from Tuskegee, but we have two guys from I think it's Savannah
State,
and
Did we lose you?
I think we about to lost him there.
He eventually he got all the way. I will give him a second. His connection
back in.
Picks back up.
I'm trying.
Let's see. We can kind of hear you. I know you're still working it out, but
still fighting. Like it was said, keep fighting. Keep fighting the internet.
Keep fighting the internet. Yeah, exactly. Don't let the internet beat you. It is undefeated, but don't stop fighting.
The internet and Father Time are undefeated.
I know. We'll give Mac a minute to here he is. Hold on. Well, I think he'll jump back in here. He'll try to reconnect. Let me put this back up on the board, Drew. Let's take that off so people can see, if you guys are watching on the streams here, the actual info on the league. Again, August the 5th, 6 o'clock, the Movement versus the Surge. So if you're in the Houston, Texas area, I think it's a great opportunity to look into this. And there's the social media handles. You can obviously go to the website, thehbcuba.com, on Facebook, HBCU Basketball Association, and on Instagram, HBCU Basketball Association. And You know, the biggest challenge I think, Drew, for any league of this level, and with the niche attraction of being HBCUs, is you got to be able to put information about your teams and the players. That's got to be accessible.
Yes.
You know, especially if you're going to be on HBCU Go, I think that's a big win, but it's got to be mirrored with information. Like we got to know who are on these rosters. We got to know who the guys are, where they went to school. There has to be
stories. We need to know their stories.
Eventually, yeah, we'll need to know their stories. We'll want to we want to care about who they are. And I think that's one of those challenges that any league, you know, again, I go back to my conversation with that I had that we had on Wednesday with the commissioner from the Pioneer League, and he talked about the things that he's doing from a social media perspective, and just the profiling and the featuring of the players. That's going to be paramount for this league to grow and for this league to have success. They're definitely going to need to tap into the market, you know. So, I mean, I'm hoping that we see that kind of improvement on the website and we see it grow to the point where, you know, we can find out more, because I think people are thirsty. I mean, there's been some good press that's out there, but I think folks are thirsty to want to consume more. You just got to give it to us, though. If you don't give it to us, I mean, once football season gets going, it's like if you haven't hooked us in the month of August, you may not see us again until late November, December even.
Yeah. And I hope they're going to be smart about, and I haven't seen the full schedule, but you have to be smart about games, classics, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, say there's a team in Memphis. It would be smart to play in Memphis the weekend of the Southern Heritage Classic. I'm just saying.
I don't know
if you could partner with them, you're gonna have people there. If the Southern Class, let's say it's a 2:00 game, 1:00 kickoff.
Mm-hmm.
Why not have HBCU league game that night? I'm just throwing it out there.
Look, you know how we are after classics. I mean, are we really trying to go anywhere else other than a party?
Am I drunk? Am I sober, Bryan?
That's the thing. You know, you've tailgated in the afternoon. Post game, you're going back out into the parking lots.
But but let's be real. The party is not going to be till 10, 11 o'clock. You're going to hit the club.
I would stay away from game day. If I were going to do anything, it would be the day before.
Right. Charles Bishop said that game's always a 6 o'clock kickoff. Hey CB, I need you and the Inside the HBCU Sports Lab team to go check out that event and give us a report back.
I don't think he's. Oh, wait a minute. That's not. Wait a minute. What event are you talking about? What are you talking about?
The one in Houston. This one.
Oh, okay. Oh,
but he's talking about the Southern Heritage Class. I just used that for an example.
Okay, I got you.
But I need CB and the Inside HBCU Sports Lab to go check that out for us and give us a report back.
Hey, they on it. You know, Doc is on it. You know, Doc's already. He's already got the tickets. You know, Doc's already got the tickets. You know,
got his credentials.
Already got his credentials. He'll be sitting on the front row, him and Deuce, and CB will be there probably as well with the fam.
Uncle Mike.
Yeah, exactly. You know, they're gonna be there. It's in Houston. How can they not be there for that game? But yeah, so it'll be an interesting opportunity. Hope you guys get a chance to go check them out again. One more time, the HBCUBA.com. Make sure to follow them, find them on those Instagram, Facebook handles as well. Hopefully it works out. Not a bad ticket, $10 for adults, $5 for students. even an opportunity to donate some school supplies. So, I mean, you know, go watch some good basketball. Now, what they should be doing at this point, see, I'm going to help them out with marketing. But sometime in the next week, they need to be putting some videos out. I need to see some social media videos on these players and these guys. I don't care if it's a scrimmage, practices. You got to put something out there to let people know who these guys are, and just, you know, let people see who they are and what they're doing out there. You agree? Disagree?
Oh, any promo that we can get out on these guys, we definitely need to get it out. You know, since I have a former player in it, I'm definitely going to be invested in watching this particular league.
The tagline for the league is called A League of Our Own. A League of Our Own. HBCU Basketball Association, A League of Our Own. We look forward to hearing more about them in the weeks to come. If you go to the website, there's a countdown. 18 days, 22 hours, 8 minutes and counting before the season debut or the season kicks off. So that's good stuff. Hey, Drew, let's take a break, come back, and kind of preview in just a small nugget what's to come this week with the CIAA and the MEAC football media days. Both of them are actually in Virginia. So we'll kind of talk about that a little bit more on the other side. Stick with us. You're watching the BCSN Sports Wrap right here on the Black College Sports Network. We'll be back in a moment.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never, ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
At Hampton Law, our primary goal is to provide non-traditional yet effective solutions and redefine the approach to client legal concerns. As your trusted legal advisor, we believe in sophisticated, personalized services that eliminate the confusion and complexity sometimes associated with legal matters. Our high standard for client care and concern, coupled with our extensive legal knowledge and skills, make Hampton Law a resource focused on the protection of the client's interest and overall goals. We value our clients and truly enjoy working with them. Visit thamptonlaw.com to conveniently schedule an appointment online. Tamika Hampton Esquire, 1631 Rock Springs Road, Suite 336, Apopka, Florida, 407-494-1471. thamptonlaw.com.
Majesty is a premium health and wellness tea line focused on bringing delicious yet healthy tea blends to the community. Filled with an abundance of vitamins and antioxidants, we work to blend teas with exotic spices and fruits to produce scrumptious and wholesome beverages. So check us out at mymajesties.com. That's MyMajesties.com. My Majesties, an Urban Passport member.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Bryan and AD here. And gotta, again, appreciate Javier McKinney for joining us. We thought we would have had the co-founders on, but must have been a little busy this evening for us. So
yeah, he shot me a text. They were on a Zoom call during our scheduled time. We were originally scheduled for yesterday to come on the Sports Wrap, but we had to change our show to Monday night because somebody on this show got tied up at an event on yesterday. I'm not gonna name any names, but so we had to push it back to today, and that's what got us with the owners. But maybe we get them on at another time, or get them on one of our other family of shows.
Yeah, on our normally scheduled time. So
what's normal? What's normal, Bryan? What is normal?
What's normal?
Who's normal? Who's normal?
All right. So this week, we've got this is unusual. I don't think in the past few years of paying attention to the schedules of media days have we had 2 media days in the same week. And we definitely haven't had these 2 back-to-back days, the CIAA and the MEAC. Usually what we get is we usually get the SIAC, SWAC, then the CIAA, then the MEAC. You somehow
no. MEAC has gone last traditionally.
That's what I just said.
No, you got to do it. SIAC goes 1 week.
Yeah, that's
right. The CIAA second week.
You don't be listening to me. Okay. I just be talking. Okay. I just be talking.
But MEAC changed their date is what happened.
That's the biggest thing. Well, didn't the CIAA change their date too?
No, the CIAA has always been the second.
After the SWAC. Well, and then it just
after the SIAC, and then the SWAC comes third. Third.
And so it just so happens that the SWAC will be the last team to do their media day, which will be next Tuesday, the 25th. So again, next week's show will technically be from Birmingham. We just don't know. Look, we're going to be honest with you. We don't know what time. We don't even know where. We're praying that we have
we may come
everything set up.
We may come on Sunday still. We don't know because some things have changed for the weekend. So,
okay.
Just you know what that means, Bryan?
Go ahead, say it.
Turn on your notifications.
Ding.
Hit the like and subscribe.
Ding.
Hit that thumbs up.
Ding.
And you'll know when we come in. Hell, we may come on both days. Who knows?
Ding, ding, ding. Exactly. Make sure you are logged in, and you won't miss whether it's our show or somebody else, or our boss may take it out of our hands and just throw another logo up there and say, it's game time.
It's game time. We all here. We can't go into nobody's moniker. We just go call it game time.
Exactly. Who knows? So that's how you stay abreast of what's going on with the Black College Sports Network. Make sure you're subscribed to all of our Facebook, YouTube page, and then more importantly, go download the Jericho Broadcast Network's app on the Google Play or Apple App Store. Just search MyJBN or MyBCSN. So the CIAA starts. The CIAA's their media day is on July 20th. Which is Thursday. Just reading the press release from earlier this month on the CIAA, CIAA.com. They will have let's see. They'll begin with the annual football media day on Wednesday the 19th through the 20th. Actually, they're doing sort of a 2-day thing where they will do a camp, which will feature coaches, players. They're going to do sort of a camp on Wednesday the 19th. That's a youth football clinic. This is going to be at Salem Stadium. So this is in Salem, Virginia, those in case you didn't know. Salem, Virginia, North Virginia, correct, Drew?
I don't know. I just know it's 4 hours from Norfolk.
Somebody get me a map. Edwin, get me a map. I need a map. I need a map.
Hey, Brian, all I do is I flew into Roanoke, which is literally like right around the corner from Salem. Like you don't even know you switch between the two towns. Airport's in Roanoke. You go from the airport. Matter of fact, the airport was about a 6-minute Uber ride from the hotel. So that's how close it is from the Roanoke Airport to Salem. and then it's a 4-hour ride to Norfolk.
Jeremiah Clark, you could if you want to make a in order to speak to the supervisor, Jeremiah, you got to make a donation, put a donation in a tip jar, and then we'll gladly pay, because the supervisor, he doesn't watch this show. I'm just letting you know that now. He does not watch this show. Only unless he's on the show will he watch this show. So otherwise, he just lets us run amok. That's why this show sometimes ends up being 3 hours, because he doesn't watch it. So I'm just letting you behind the.
That's why he stopped producing us.
That's exactly why he stopped producing. I'll go ahead and produce this show. Anyway, so the youth football camp is on Wednesday, the 19th at the Salem Stadium. Then this year's event now this is what is curious to me. This year's event will be made available on the CIAA Sports Network. That's the CIAASN.com. And so there is limited space wherever they are doing this from. I don't know where they're doing this. They haven't really, it's not publicized on the website, so you have to actually be credentialed media to kind of figure out where this game, but you can obviously watch it on the CIAA Sports Network, which I give the CIAA some credit. They do a good job with that sports
They are
network.
probably the best of the 4 conferences with their network. Their own conference network.
Yes, I will agree. I will 100 of the 4 HBCU conferences. Yes, they do the best. They figured it out. They figured out something. They figured out something that I think other people want from the other conferences, and you're not getting it right now. So that kind of frustrates a lot of people. But remember, and probably the CIAA, being a Division II conference, is sort of in front of maybe some other D2 conferences. You know what I'm saying? In terms of what they're doing. So, okay, big news from the CIAA for this particular football season. And correct me if I'm wrong here, Drew, because I very well could be. Out is Shawan in the North, who played in the championship game last year as the winner of the North Division. They're replaced by Bluefield State, who is a full-time member now of the CIAA in all sports. Correct?
Except for baseball, of course, because the CIAA does not sponsor baseball.
Correct. They don't sponsor baseball. Now, obviously, when I look at the website, I see 14 teams in the CIAA. Is that what you see?
There 14? Should be 13, I thought.
Well, I mean, now that's including Shawan.
Shawan is still listed.
Shawan is still listed. Now, it makes me wonder now obviously Claflin is a part of the CIAA that don't play football.
Play football, right. But they're a member in all
so
other sports.
I'm wondering if
and ironically, Claflin plays baseball also.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Shawan plays other sports within the CIAA.
Football was the only sport that they had left in the CIAA because their primary conference did not sponsor football when they left the CIAA. which is why they stayed in football only. I can't remember which conference they moved to.
Okay, so obviously the big storylines that people will be paying attention to this year, obviously you have Fayetteville State finally getting over the hump. Coach Richard Hayes, and Fayetteville finally gets that elusive CIAA championship. What does that mean for the program? Who we have said this before on our show many times, Drew. Had it not been for Bowie State's 3-year run, which all happened against Fayetteville State, had Fayetteville State just maybe won one of those, people might view Fayetteville State a little bit different. So I think what's going to be on a lot of people's mind is, I don't know if anything has changed in the CIAA South to make me say that Fayetteville State won't win the South again. And I think that's what a lot of people, will be looking at. I mean, I think they will be the favorite once again to win the South. Does that seem like a solid storyline out of the South?
Yeah, because I really don't see. Maybe Shaw. Maybe like Shaw will get some.
I feel like we've said that the last couple of years. Maybe Shaw.
Yeah, but that's my point.
Yeah,
that's my point. I mean, that's it. Unfortunately, Winston-Salem, who finally has named their interim coach after about 20 years as their full-time coach.
Stop it.
So maybe they could get something rolling. St. Aug and Livingstone have been the bottom dwellers in the South. Johnson sneaks up, gets a game here or there, but has not been consistent.
Very, very curious. When you get a chance, go look at the CIAA's website. When I take a look at the football standings, I only see 5 teams in the North, 5 teams in the South. Did we lose somebody? Did somebody get relegated? Like what am I missing here? Did somebody? I feel like
they're not in the Premier League anymore.
I'm just asking the question, Drew. I'm looking at the website,
Bryan, it's called summertime website maintenance.
Okay, I'll leave it alone. Okay, thank you. Okay, let's move on. I think that's the main storyline out of the South. In the North, I think it starts and ends with Virginia Union, who returns All-American Jada Byers and that offensive line that opened up holes so that he could run for almost 2,000 yards. I think had Virginia State or Virginia Union, had they gotten a little deeper in the playoffs, he could have hit the 2,000 mark. Had they played an 11th game, obviously that was the big story. Virginia Union not making the championship game. So is this Virginia Union's opportunity now? Will we get which, by the way, we do get the matchup this year. We get Virginia Union versus Fayetteville State in a regular season contest. I think that was one of my games to go visit and see, if I'm not mistaken, when we did that show a few weeks back on our ultimate HBCU football game road trip. I think that is circled as the game of the year. Regular season game of the year. Fayetteville State versus Virginia Union. What other storylines do you think will come out of, or that people will be talking about as it relates to the Northern Division?
Wait, can I flip back to the South?
Sure, yeah.
For a moment. The thing that you always have to look for when we talk about CIAA standings is the crossover games.
Yeah.
There are 2 teams in the South who are primed to make a run at Fayetteville State. And I just happened to just mention 2 of them. Winston-Salem. Here are the crossover games. Elizabeth City, Bluefield State, Lincoln, PA. Now, don't sleep on Bluefield State, but Winston-Salem will probably be favored at all three of those games, Brian. At least two of them.
Mm-hmm.
And for Johnson C. Smith, those same three teams, Bluefield State, Lincoln, PA, and Elizabeth City. Who does Fayetteville State have on their crossover schedule? Lincoln, PA, Virginia Union, Bluefield State. Poor Livingstone, Union, Virginia State, Bowie State. Same thing with St. Albans. St. Augustine. So based on those two things, you can pretty much count Livingstone and St. Augustine out. They're potentially looking at 0-3 going into divisional play.
Well, don't we typically do this where we will say who's going to get their first win, or either their first conference win, or maybe I do it the reverse way. Who's going to be the last team to get their first win or their first conference win when it comes down to about 3 or 4 schools? And that's where the CIAA has got to fight. It's more on the school's responsibility. I don't mean to put this on the conference, but I think those schools that have struggled for the last 3 to 4 years, and especially post-COVID. Now, I don't want to, COVID is that COVID year, is especially hard for those programs that have struggled mightily in the years since, right? But yeah, at some point you're waiting on them to turn the corner, right? You're waiting on St. Aug, you're waiting on Livingstone, I hate to say Johnson C. Smith, but you're waiting on those programs to kind of turn the corner, man, and really see what they're going to do. So
Fayetteville State has built a schedule that will allow them, should they win, to get a high regional ranking with non-conference matchups against UMC Pembroke and Lenore Ryan. Plus, you throw in the fact that they've got Virginia Union on their schedule. They have a schedule that's going to allow them to gain some good strength of schedule points. Whereas when we take a look at last year's class,
don't they have to win those games though, Drew?
Yes, they need to win them. If they win those games, those will allow them to be potentially get up there in the regional rankings. When you look at Virginia Union, Bryan, they've got Shaw and Morehouse.
Yeah. Wow. Look. Okay. So let's look for a second. Fayetteville State's first month, in the month of September, the first 4 games: UNC Pembroke, Lenore Ryan, hosting Lincoln, PA, and then traveling Virginia Union. The 2 non-conference games. The 2 non-conference games. Look, we pointed out last year that there is a long streak of losing by Fayetteville State in those non-conference games versus, I think last year the first year that they beat UNC Pembroke in a long time. Didn't they beat them?
I do believe so.
Okay, so there's an even longer streak against
Lenore
Ryan, or I guess we should say against PWIs,
right.
D2 PWIs, and UNC Pembroke does not necessarily, which we learned.
They're a minority serving institution.
Right, they don't qualify as a PWI. Just in case. So really, the bigger storyline is, can they beat Lenore Ryan when they host them? That would be a major feather in the cap to the rankings for Fayetteville State. So needless to say, they need to try to get, start 2-0. But imagine them being 3-0, assuming they get a win over Lincoln, PA, which is another program that has been down. Then you got Virginia Union. You're looking Virginia Union square in the face in week 4. And then after that, the season, I'm not going to say any season is a cakewalk, Drew. But in terms of strength of schedule, it gets a lot easier strength of schedule wise after Virginia Union in week 4. So Fayetteville State's whole season is in those first 4 weeks of the year. Let me give you another storyline I'm looking at. Bowie State. Kyle Jackson took over for legendary coach, and I say legendary because what he did, Coach Damon Wilson, what he did at Bowie is epic. I mean, he built a dynasty. Now he's at Morgan State trying to rebuild that program. But can Kyle Jackson contend for a North Division title this year? Can he get Bowie State's, can he get the Bulldogs back on the minds and the tongues of everyone in the CIAA media? This is his full year to do it. There's no more interim tags, there's no excuses. He's in that spot now. And so can he challenge Virginia Union? Can he challenge Virginia State? Can he avoid losing a game to Bluefield State? The new guys in the conference. I think that'll be an interesting storyline to pay attention to. So again, anything else you want to add before we quickly jump over to the MEAC?
No, we'll come back next week with predictions on where we see the schedule.
Yeah, so after we get a chance to watch again, and again, that's the CIAASN.com. That's the CIAA Sports Network. That's where you can watch live coverage of their media day. As it relates to the MEAC media day is on Friday, July 21st at noon, and you will be able to watch that on ESPN Plus. So the MEAC Football Media Day presented by Wells Fargo will be at the Hilton Norfolk, the Maine, and it will feature coaches with 2 student athletes. They will have the in-person media sessions beginning at 11 in the morning. I know Dr. Cavill has already said he'll be there for the MEAC, so make sure you're tuned into the Black College Sports Network. You might get some live coverage before the actual ESPN Plus show starts at noon. So again, Delaware State, Howard, Morgan State, Norfolk State, North Carolina Central, and South Carolina State. So that's who will be in the building for that. Let's see. I'm looking at the names who are in attendance. Of course, North Carolina Central, you'll have Davius Richard and Khalil Baker in attendance representing North Carolina Central. South Carolina State, Corey Fields, a young man who's feel like we've been watching him since he was a freshman back in 2019. And then linebacker Patrick Godbolt will be there with South Carolina State. What's a storyline or two that you'll be looking at for the MEAC, Drew?
I'm just looking at a couple things schedule wise that I'm noticing.
Okay.
Well, North Carolina Central, the defending national champions, have a very interesting schedule. We know they opened up with Winston-Salem State, and they had the Aggie Eagle Classic before going out to play UCLA.
Mm-hmm.
Then they come back. They have a bye week against Valley. Oh, wait a minute. Did I say that out loud? No. Wow. Wait a minute. Hold up, Brian. Hold up, Brian.
Wow.
If I remember correctly, Valley beat Central the last time they played.
Did they really?
Yes, they did.
What year was that?
That was like 2-3 years ago, Brian.
Ooh.
Right. Central went to Valley and Valley beat them at home.
And that game will be in Indianapolis, Circle City Classic.
Correct. Circle City Classic.
Yeah.
That's why I make that joke, because what you would think would be a easy game for Central. I just remember Central had a good team then, but Valley did beat them that year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Campbell, Elon. Now here's where it gets interesting.
Let me pause you because you just pointed out those 5 games in September. And I know there were some, when you read out Morehouse's September, this might be the second toughest, or it'll be interesting. We'll have to actually do some comparison on the next show.
But they're not on the road like Morehouse was. So Morehouse is definitely.
So you'll say Morehouse right now looks to have the tougher September with.
And they on the road the first 6 weeks, Brian.
Okay.
Morehouse.
Okay.
At least Central book in September with home games, a home game against Winston-Salem and a home game against Campbell.
And they're in North Carolina, I guess they would say up the road in at Greensboro. So I mean they're in the state of North Carolina. 3 of those 5 weekends.
Right. And then they've got Elon the next week, which is North Carolina.
Right.
So, but they had the bye week. Then they have back-to-back Thursday night games, Brian. First one on the road, second one at home. I found that very interesting.
It kind of works with them having that on a bye week, though. You know, it's you can't poo-poo it because there's adequate rest because you had the bye week, and then you've got 7 days. You go from one Thursday to the next Thursday, so you just kind of you have your schedule the way it is. So it kind of
it's essentially two buys because after the second Thursday night game. Then they've got almost 10 days off before they play Norfolk.
Correct. Right.
Yeah. I just thought that was interesting when I looked at their schedule. And I'm looking at some of these interesting non-conference matchups. South Carolina State, boy, they sure know how to go get some money. With I think they start off with the MEAC Swag Challenge. Then they go to Charlotte. Then they go to Georgia Tech. And then they play, and then after a couple of weeks, then they've got the customary Virginia Lynchburg game. Question is, will Virginia Lynchburg be their first victory of the season? Which is
it'll be the Jackson State
game.
I said it. I said it. I won't back down from it.
Interesting. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. And I'll tell you the other thing that I like this year, the last 5 weeks are the conference games. You know, nobody's playing that early conference game and somebody has a pushover game the last, week 10, 11, or 12 or whatever. No, the last 5 weeks are all MEAC matchups. So, and Lynchburg is only on 2 schedules this year. With South Carolina State and Delaware.
Yes, Delaware State.
Being the only 2 that get Lynchburg this year. Lynchburg's on a couple of SWAC schedules this year. I think they're on the SIAC schedule also.
I'm interested in Morehouse's non-conference, where, of course, you've got the Morehouse game. You do have Eastern Michigan.
You're talking about Howard.
I'm sorry, Howard. Yeah, who did I say? Whatever.
You said Morehouse.
Well, they play Morehouse. Obviously, I believe it's listed as a home game, but it's not at Green Stadium though.
I think that's at Audi Field.
Yeah, you got the Hampton matchup, which is Howard that they lose the H going into that game, and
Biddle College.
Yeah, see if they can get it back. Then I think the interesting matchup, they got a Northwestern squad, which who knows what Northwestern's going to look like in the fall, right? I mean, all the scandals and stuff that Northwestern is dealing with. They got an interim coach now. You know, who knows what you're dealing with there. And then Harvard, I don't know, the two.
Harvard is the Howard of the Ivy League.
Okay, right. Because people always say it the other way around, right? People say Howard is the Harvard of HBCUs. But yes, I love the way you just said that. Harvard is the Howard of the Ivy League. Well said, Drew. Well said. I love the way you said that. So, yeah, you know what? I think at some point is this year 2 or 3? Is this year 2 or 3 of the MEAC 6?
2.
This is year 2. Okay. I want to see
year three.
Okay. So here's what I'm curious about. I'm curious about a potential case study to look at the profitability of the MEAC programs having gone to this format where they're able to schedule 3 additional non-conference games, unlike teams from the SWAC. You know what I'm saying? You're able to sort of really diversify your schedule, and by diversifying your schedule, thus far, you have been able to capitalize on winning not 1, but 2 Celebration Bowls by 2 different teams. I just find it fascinating. Just one of those things to kind of look at.
Here's the question, Bryan.
Yeah.
Will a team that does not have Carolina in their name ever make it to the Celebration Bowl? Every Celebration Bowl
not this
has been a team that has Carolina in their name, aka North Carolina A&T State, North Carolina Central, or South Carolina State. That's it from the MEAC. That's it.
Right. That's it. Now, you know, the one thing we can say about when you play only 5 conference games, your margin of error for of tripping up a game is very slim. You know, like in the SWAC, Jackson State excluded over these last couple seasons, you could have a couple losses and still find yourself in the SWAC championship game.
Hell, the West was 5-3 last year, Bryan, and it came within a quarter of the representative being 4-4.
Exactly, my point. So, unfortunately, though, in the MEAC, though, you mess around and you slip up, and there was a thought that North Carolina Central was done. And then all of a sudden, whoever else had moved into the top spot, they ended up losing the next week. And then it just gave North Carolina Central like, oh, hey, we got a shot again.
You know what else a 5-game schedule also affords, Bryan?
What, Drew?
A 6-5 team going to represent you in the Celebration Bowl, aka 2021 in South Carolina State.
Yes, sir.
And they came very close to being a 5-6 team representing the MEAC in the celebration.
Mm-hmm. Some of y'all's 2021 Black College National Championship. Some of y'all.
Yeah, I said nothing about the Black College National Championship. I said celebration.
I'm just saying. I like Messi. I told you, I'm all about the Messi. I love Messi.
But a couple of things with that 5-game schedule, though, Bryan. A, you can actually go out and schedule more check games and still schedule more competitive FCS games. Or if you want to give a Division II team an opportunity, a D2s, don't go play the SWAC, go play the MEAC. They got the games. They have the game to play. They need those games. So that's something that else that 5-game schedule allows you to do. But Bryan, What do you think about the Howard coach talking about he would love to see a MEAC championship game? Did you miss that article?
I did miss that article. Explain to me again. How's that? How would that even work?
In the top two. Out of a 5-game schedule.
Out of a 5, yeah,
You know what it feels like if you did that. It feels like an AAU tournament down at the local rec because they only had enough teams for one gym.
Stop it. I would rather the MEAC go to a format where you played, I don't know, 1 or 2 teams twice, and then maybe have a championship game.
No.
Okay, so void the championship.
Because that could possibly mean you play somebody 3 times. If the team that you play twice and y'all finish 1-2 because y'all beat each other, you got to play a rubber match in football. Now you might as well be playing in the NFC North.
Yeah, somebody needs to tell the Howard coach is like, hey, coach, we've won 5. Is it 5 of 7 or 6 of 7? How many has it been in the Celebration Bowl?
You have to be at. They won all but 1. We'll just say that. So
okay, so hey, somebody, hey, coach, we've won 6 of 7 Celebration Bowls without a conference game. Let's leave well enough alone. Let's not be too creative and screw ourselves over, because right now our formula of being finished when we're getting finished has been working beautifully working. So I think he might want to leave that alone. Might want to leave that alone. It is for money.
You know the other problem with that championship game, Bryan?
It's gonna be in a cold climate area, most likely.
Exactly. Where are you gonna play that at? And somebody's gonna come out and watch it.
That's all right. I'm good.
Could you imagine a championship game between, I'm just gonna say hypothetically, Morgan State and Howard one year?
Ooh, cold. And in a first weekend of December?
On the Potomac?
Good luck.
On the Bay?
Bundle up. Bundle up for that one, boy. That's going to be cold. Yeah, I just don't, you talk about the conference needing at least 10 teams. I just don't know where they're going to find 4 other teams, 5 other teams. It just, I don't know. I don't know if it can happen.
That's more asinine than playing for the playoffs.
What's that?
Playing the conference championship game.
I think coach with that one, but
unless you're gonna do it in a dome, and there is no dome in any of those cities where we have MEAC teams.
No, Edwin. No, we are in the South. Damn it! It's not a cold weather sport in the South. Sorry, or the West Coast either.
Football is a cool weather sport, not a cold weather sport. Edwin, have you ever been to a football game with snow and wind chill?
It's not fun.
I have.
Yeah, me too. Not fun.
When you got on 4 pair of socks and boots and you still can't feel your toes.
And you're just watching the clock run and you're like, come on, run the ball. Keep this game moving. I don't even know why we're out here supporting you guys. Let's keep this thing moving. All right. So let's get ready let's put a bow on this one, Drew. It's been a good show tonight. Gotta again thank our guests, Kendrick.
I did have one piece of news. I did have one other piece of news I wanted to get out. This was just released today. This comes courtesy of HBCU Sports. HBCU women's will have another shot at postseason play. This is about the postseason women's NIT being created. A 32-team NCAA sponsored women's basketball tournament that will tip off in 24.
I thought there already was women's NIT.
That's preseason NIT.
Oh.
That they run. The women, if they don't get to the 64, then that's it for the women.
So more opportunities to avoid HBCU teams. Great. Woohoo. Any other fabulous news you want to share with us, Drew? No, I'm sorry. I'm being a pessimistic ass. I'm sorry. Yeah. I guess it's good. It's good for somebody. Good for somebody. I don't know if it's good for HBCU programs that are finishing 500 or a game or two below 500 though.
Would have been good for Jackson State last year.
Jackson State went to the tournament.
Not Jackson State.
Who else was deserving? Nobody. You can't think of anybody else who was deserving.
Yeah.
Because Norfolk State went. If you want to say Howard's women was about 500. So did they really deserve to go?
Southern.
Southern went. They won the SWAC.
Southern UAPB. That's what I mean.
And they were like 500, maybe a game under. Yeah. I mean, I'm not celebrating mediocrity, Drew. I'm not selling you had a good opportunity. You had a good run. You finished, UAPB, you finished 10-8 in the conference, and you lost most of all, if not a few of your non-conference games. When schools start winning non-conference games, Drew, I will fight and I'll stand on the table and I'll get on social media and wherever else you want me to go and talk about give us more opportunities to play. But right now, we're not winning these games. We're hardly competitive in these non-conference games. And I do advocate and want them to have more home games. That's something I want to see happen more. But the athletic directors continue to run out there and pimp your basketball programs and tell your basketball programs to go make money for everybody else when that's what you got a football program for. Football program's supposed to go make money for everybody. Don't go ask
so we're gonna pimp the football players instead.
That's what they're there for. That's what they're there for. They got the biggest opportunity. Well, they've got a big, large arena, stadium, great opportunities to bring in more money to the athletic department. That's what they're there for. Don't go ask the basketball program to run across the country and raise $200,000, which, if you had a marketing program or if you had any kind of real salesperson, you go get to, if you were creative in any kind of way, Mr. and Miss AD, you would go get somebody out there to market your sports. You would reach out in the community, sell season tickets. You would create schedule cards and refrigerator magnets or whatever. I don't care what it is. Do something and bring some home games into your stadiums and your arenas. Instead of sitting your stadiums and arenas sit empty for the whole month of November and December, and then all of a sudden you want to turn the lights on in January and February because it's conference play.
And find out your heat don't work.
Yeah, ridiculous, man. Ridiculous. It's and we need more people should complain to your university presidents and tell the university president, because you can complain to the AD all you want. It's gonna go in one ear and out the other. You need to go complain to the president. Tell your president, hey, it's ridiculous that we don't have any home games. Anyway, are we ready? Are we ready to go? You got any more wonderful news?
You gonna talk about your tweet?
Since I'm grinching out. Talk about
your tweet.
Been
on Tuskegee thing this week.
Oh yeah, since it's been we might need to rename this show to something like or something like that. I don't know.
This is gonna be the segment,
Yeah. So,
Yeah, Edwin. Thank you, Edwin. Thank you.
Oh, it is? Okay. All right. I no comment.
And then December graduation, Bryan.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. Well, there you go. And so, sorry, basketball coaches, you lose out. But hey, guess what? There's a women's postseason NIT for the few of you who might get lucky enough to win 17 games. By the way, which is what it'll take, because if you just get 16 or 15, that means you're at 500 or a game under 500, and that won't get you in. Sorry. Speaking of women's basketball programs, Drew, Tuskegee looks like they might be getting a little bit closer to naming a women's basketball coach to replace Trelane Powell, who, by the way, I would love if Trelane Powell was up for consideration for the FAMU women's job. I'm so sorry that it became. I know she left too early, because I would love for AD Sykes to pluck her away from Tuskegee if she were still there. But anyway, so looks like the if the sources and word is correct or true, the new Tuskegee women's basketball coach could very well be coming from within the conference. So that'll be interesting to see. So obviously a Tuskegee plucks a candidate off the list, off of FAMU's women's basketball candidate list, because they filled their position before. And so now that leaves Florida A&M as the most high-profile women's basketball coaching position in HBCU land, still open. Yes. So more to come. We'll wait to see whether whether our sources are correct or not. And yeah, so we'll see.
You don't want to be first? You just want to get it right.
I just want to put it out there. Every I know everybody else on the network is like, get it right, get it right. I'm the black sheep standing in the corner talking about put it out there, and then let's see if they deny it. That's just me. Put it out there and see if they deny it, because you know why? Everybody else, I've been scooped enough times already in the past 6 months that I'm up to here with being scooped. But we want to be right. Okay, be right. Next time I'm scooping their ass. Excuse me.
Man, let's pick up the show and get out of here, my brother.
All right, let's get ready to get out of here. Again, want to remind everybody, please make sure that you are following the show on Facebook. You can find us at BCSN Sports Wrap. Go download the Jericho Broadcast Networks app on the Google Play and Apple App Store. Just search MyJBN, MyBCSN. We appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up button, the like button, wherever you're watching us on Facebook or on YouTube. Make sure you're following the Black College Sports Network at MyBCSN1, the number 1. You can always leave a donation. There's the Cash App symbol, Cash App, MyJBN, MyBCSN. You can also leave a super tip on YouTube. If you're watching, you can drop a cup of coffee or a bucket, $1 in the bucket, tip jar. If you're watching us on YouTube, we appreciate any and all donations, contributions to help keep this thing going. We appreciate you very, very much. Again, want to thank our guests, of course, Kendrick Hooks at D2 HBCU Football. He and Drew, part of the new show that'll be coming on the network, SIAC Football. What's the name of it? Have you come up with a name officially yet?
Not officially. We've got a couple of names in concept, but we gotta work through some things.
Okay. All right. So still going through legal right now. Is the name still going through legal? All right. So we'll tell you what the name is here pretty soon. And also Javier McKinney with the HBCU Surge and the HBCUBA.com. That's I'll put it up here one more time for them. The HBCUBA.com, and go check that website out. Go find out more information. The first game will be August 5th, Saturday, August 5th, 6 p.m. I'm assuming that's 6 p.m. local time in Houston, Texas, between the HBCU movement and the HBCU Surge. Professional basketball, a league of our own is the tagline. Beautiful. I like the way they spun that. A league of our own. All right, Drew, that's going to do it for tonight, man. Thanks for everything. Enjoy the rest of the week, and we'll check in with everybody. I'm sure. Who knows? You may see Drew. Are you filling in for any professors? Do you know yet, Drew? Because you know you. Or is that kind of comes like last minute calls?
I get a text about 4 or 5 o'clock, and
Professor so and so can't make it in.
Yeah, if I buy a computer, or do I be by a computer before 7 o'clock Eastern time, I never turn down the good doctor.
I got you. All right. Thank you for everybody for watching. We hope we brought some joy to your evening. We appreciate all of your commentary and likes. Thank you, Edwin. Definitely appreciate you, and appreciate everybody on the chats for jumping in and joining the show. Please make sure to rate, review, subscribe, share, wherever and whenever you can. Don't forget about our BCSN Pod Zone. That's BCSN Pod Zone. Everywhere you listen to podcasts, that's Google Play. That's Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Make sure you download and subscribe. So for AD Drew, I'm Bryan Fulford. Thanks for watching tonight. Be safe, be smart, make good decisions while you can. Peace out.
Have a light. We'll holler.
But my beats, they are hard.